janavallabha girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Śrīla Prabhupada ki Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So today we're reading Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, Lord Chaitanya, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is verse 91, 92. Both verses are there? Atra sargo visargaścha sthānaṁ poṣaṇam ūtayaḥ manvantareśānukathā nirodho muktir āśrayaḥ daśamasya viśuddhi-artham navānām iha lakṣaṇam varṇayanti mahā-ātmānaḥ śrutenārthena cāñjasā atra sargo visargaśya sthānaṁ poṣaṇam ūtayaḥ manvantareśānukathā nirodho muktir āśrayaḥ daśamasya viśuddhi-artham navānām iha lakṣaṇam varṇayanti mahā-ātmānaḥ śrutenārthena cāñjasā. Bolo, bolo. Atra sargo visargaśya. Sthānaṁ poṣaṇam ūtayaḥ. Sthānaṁ poṣaṇam. Nirodho muktir āśrayaḥ. Daśamasya viśuddhi-artham. Navānām lakṣaṇam. varṇayanti mahātmānaḥ. śrutenārthena cāñjasā. viśuddhi-artham lakṣaṇam atra. In Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, sargo, the creation of the ingredients of the universe, visargaḥ, the creations of Brahmā, cha, and sthānaṁ, the maintenance of the creation, poṣaṇam, the favoring of the Lord's devotees, ūtayaḥ, impetuses for activity, manu-antara, pre-scheduled duties given by the manus, prescribed duties given by the manus, īśa-anukathāḥ, a description of the incarnations of the Lord, nirodho, the winding up of creation, muktir, liberation, āśrayaḥ, the ultimate shelter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, daśamasya, of the 10th, the āśrayaḥ, viśuddhi-artham, for the purpose of perfect knowledge, navānām, of the 9, iha, here, lakṣaṇam, the nature, varṇayanti, describe, mahā-ātmānaḥ, the great souls, Śrutena, by prayer, Arthena, by explanation, Cha, and cāñjasā, direct. So, although we're reading the Chaitanya Charitamrita, these are Bhagavatam verses, and they're a little bit lengthy, so pay attention. Here, in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 10 subjects are described. 1, the creation of the ingredients of the cosmos. 2, the creations of Brahmā. 3, the maintenance of the creation. 4, special favor given to the faithful. 5, impetuses for activity. 6, prescribed duties for law-abiding men. 7, a description of the incarnations of the Lord. 8, the winding up of the creation. 9, liberation from gross and subtle material existence. And 10, the ultimate shelter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The 10th item is the shelter of all the others. To distinguish this ultimate shelter from the other 9 subjects, the Mahajanas have described these 9 directly or indirectly through prayers or direct explanations. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. These verses from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 2.10, 1 and 2 list the 10 subject matters dealt with in the text of the Bhagavatam. Of these, the 10th is the substance, and the other 9 are categories derived from the substance. These 10 subjects are listed as follows. 1, sarga, the first creation by Vishnu, the bringing forth of the 5 gross material elements, the 5 objects of sense perception, the 10 senses, the mind, the intelligence, the false ego, and the total material energy or universal form. We're just getting started here. Number 2, visargaḥ, the secondary creation, or the work of Brahmā in producing the moving and unmoving bodies in the universe, Brahmanda. 3, sthānaṁ, the maintenance of the universe by the personality of Godhead Vishnu. Vishnu's function is more important and his glory greater than Brahma's and Lord Shiva's. For although Brahmā is the creator and Lord Shiva is the destroyer, Vishnu is the maintainer. 4, poṣaṇam, special care and protection for devotees by the Lord, as a king maintains his kingdom and subjects, but nevertheless gives special attention to the members of his family, so the personality of Godhead gives special care to his devotees who are souls completely surrendered to him. 5, uti, the urge for creation or initiative power, that is the cause of all inventions, according to the necessities of time, space, and objects. 6, manvantara, the periods controlled by the manus, who teach regulative principles for living beings who desire to achieve perfection in human life. The rules of Manu, as described in the Manu Samhita, guide the way to such perfection. 7, īśa-anukathāḥ, scriptural information regarding the personality of Godhead, his incarnations on earth, and activities of his devotees. Scriptures dealing with these subjects are essential for progressive human life. 8, nirodho, the winding up of all energies employed in creation. Such potencies are emanations from the personality of Godhead, who eternally lies in the Karana ocean, the cosmic creations manifested with his breath are again dissolved in due course. 9. Mukti. Liberation of the conditioned souls encaged by the gross and subtle coverings of body and mind. When freed from all material affection, the soul, giving up the gross and subtle material bodies, can attain the spiritual sky in his original spiritual body and engage in transcendental loving service to the Lord in Vaikuntha or Krishna Loka. When the soul is situated in his original constitutional position of existence, he is said to be liberated. It is possible to engage in transcendental loving service to the Lord and become Jivan Mukta, a liberated soul, even while in the material body. 10. Āśrayaḥ. The transcendence, the summum bonum, from whom everything emanates, upon whom everything rests, and in whom everything merges after annihilation. He is the source and support of all. The Āśrayaḥ is also called the Supreme Brahman, as in the Vedanta Sutra, Atato Brahma Jignasa Janmad Yasyayataha, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam especially describes this Supreme Brahman as the Āśrayaḥ. Sri Krishna is this Āśrayaḥ. Therefore, the greatest necessity of life is to study the science of Krishna. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam accepts Sri Krishna as the shelter of all manifestations, because Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the ultimate source of everything, the supreme goal of all. Two different principles are to be considered herein, namely Āśrayaḥ, the object providing shelter, and Ashrita, the dependence requiring shelter. The Ashrita exists under the original principle, the Āśrayaḥ. The first 9 categories described in the first 9 cantos of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, from creation to liberation, including the Purusha avatars, the incarnations, the marginal energy, or living entities, and the external energy, or material world, are all Ashrita. The prayers of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, however, aim for the Ashraya Tattva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. The great souls, expert in describing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, have very diligently delineated the other 9 categories, sometimes by direct narrations, sometimes by indirect narrations, such as stories. The real purpose of doing this is to know perfectly the absolute transcendence, Sri Krishna, for the entire creation, both material and spiritual, rests on the body of Sri Krishna. Wow. You can give 100 classes on that one, huh? Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistang Stapatang Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantika Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachadishatarane. Hare Krishna. So we can see by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's giving us detailed understanding of how the Lord creates this material world. Mahavishnu and the Kara. 3/4 of the existence of all living entities are in the spiritual world, in the Vaikuntha Lokas, in Goloka Vrindavan, which is like a big, beautiful lotus. The eternal living entities are engaged in pastimes with the Supreme Lord. But just like in this world, there's all the free citizens are free to move and are under the protection of the government, law-abiding citizens. They're provided with many facilities. But if we become criminals, we got to go to prison house. First-class prisoner, third-class prisoner, it goes down. Solitary confinement, depending on the nature of our attitude. So Krishna, he has a loving relationship with each and every person. He's in the heart of every living being. He's in every atom. And it's not that God is just some impersonal being. Because if you see how this material world, he's providing as Mahavishnu, he just lies in the causal ocean, Karana ocean, and by breathing, take a deep breath, and then exhales, then all the living entities, he creates material nature, this whole material manifestation, mayadhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. So he creates the material ingredients, earth, water, fire, air, ether, gives you a mind, intelligence, false ego. And this material body is a temporary manifestation so that we can try to enjoy according to our karma, according to our desires. And everyone in this material world is desirous to become happy and enjoy, but it doesn't seem possible to achieve that goal in material life. But because we want that, Krishna's making arrangements. And he's not leaving us alone. He's there. He's watching. He's allowing. Even when the demigods, each demigod is in charge of different aspects of our movements. We're thinking, I want to walk, I want to move my hands, I want to blink my eyes. Many things, many functions are taking place, but everything is being controlled. But it seems almost automatic, spontaneous, as if Mother Nature has created everything. When people who are atheistic or don't believe that there's a creator, they think that, like the modern scientists, that everything was just coming about from nature. But that nature, whose nature? Is Krishna's nature. Just like when the husband and wife, they have a child, the mother, she produces the body, but the husband, he produces the seed. So Krishna is the seed-giving father of all living entities. There are many varieties of living beings, but in the human form of life, we are greatly fortunate because the whole purpose of the creation, which is complex and difficult to understand, it says that even the great demigods, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, they're bewildered by the supremacy of the Supreme Lord, this mystical potency of God. And Krishna creates everything in this material world, heavenly planets, where long duration of life, one could try to enjoy so much happiness. In the Vedic literature is our guide, like the Manu Samhita, are the laws for mankind. Manu, man, came from the word Manu. In Manu Samhita, the Lord, Swayambhuva Manu, is a Shaktyavesh avatar. He comes to this world, and by his example and by his teachings, he's giving directions to every living being in all varieties of life. But in human life, one has sufficient intelligence, hopefully, that they'll inquire, who am I? Why am I in this world? Why am I forced to get old, get diseased, and die? No matter how much money we make or how big operation we're running, big enterprise, Prabhupada says a Ford, Rockefeller, or, some big... So what if you accumulate billions of dollars and have so many buildings and so many followers? Everything is completely taken away. As soon as death comes, you're forced, the body just melts into the ground, and that eternal spirit soul, which is our real self, is forced to go into the womb of another mother, depending on our activities, our desires. And people, especially in Kali Yuga, are very much foolish, thinking that it doesn't matter if I become a dog, or if I become a bird, that would be cool. They take it very, very lightly. They think, I have this life, let me just live my life and enjoy. But there is no enjoyment. Brahma bhuvana loka punar avartano arjuna. Of course, there's a reflection. It's not that this material world is false. It's temporary. So in one sense, it's not the reality. The reality is the spiritual world, the spiritual kingdom, and our relationship with Krishna is the reality. But our false relationships in this world of I and mind, this is my family, these are my children, these are my brothers, these are my countrymen. And people fight for that, this is it, motherland, and let's, if you're white, the blacks, the whole idea of the different bodily identifications was the very first lesson Arjuna received from Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Here's a huge battle. In the midst of that battlefield, Arjuna, he's feeling compassion. My teachers, my cousins, my brothers, my sons, everybody is here. And if we do this fight, then no one will protect. The women will be unprotected, and there'll be cause for unwanted population, varna sankara, and religious principles will go completely down the tubes. So Krishna says that although you're speaking like a learned man, but no one who has intelligence speaks that way. It's on the bodily platform. So he was teaching the whole second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is focused and centered on the fact that we're eternal spiritual beings. The soul cannot be cut, burned, or in any way terminated. We're ever existing, undying, primeval, just like Krishna, Satchidananda Vigraha. And Krishna, the details are given there in the Bhagavatam for the creation, how the Lord creates, and how when he has the desire to see, he creates the sun. Because without sunlight, we can't see anything. The world is naturally dark. The whole universe is dark. That's why we're living in the ignorance or darkness. And not only that, but all the different aspects of our existence. When we have to hear, we're given ear and the ability to hear, but it's meant for the spiritual, to hear about spiritual understanding, to hear about Krishna, to hear about the pastimes that go on in the spiritual world, so that we can get out of captivity in the prison house of material existence. And everything, the smelling, seeing, hearing, touching, all the sensual activities, all the different aspects of the human being are given by Krishna. How can, just by chance, such a complex form of life come into existence? Prabhupada gives the example of an artist. We have many artists here. They put so much energy and creativity in painting a rose flower. But if you take the natural rose with its beauty, color, and beautiful scent, you think, oh, no one made that. It just came out of the ground like that. So anyone who's intelligent and thinks about that there must be a creator, there must be someone, and there must be a purpose for the creation. And the beauty of it, although it was very in-depth translation, it said that the 10th item is the shelter of all the others. To distinguish this ultimate shelter from the other 9 subjects, the Mahajanas have described these 9 directly or indirectly through prayers or direct explanations. So a lot of detail may be there in the creation and the creation of the demigods. Lord Brahma's created and he was bewildered, not knowing he's all alone. There's no ingredients. He heard tapa. I have to perform sacrifice. So Lord Brahma, even though looking for the Lord for a long, long time, could not find What is the purpose of this existence? And so he sat and meditated on the Lord. And the Lord was very pleased by his austerities and meditation. So if we want to achieve anything in life, you have to put some endeavor behind it, some enthusiasm, intelligence, and really stay steady with it to achieve or accomplish anything in life. It takes a great endeavor. So Lord Brahma performed tapasya, meditation, and the Lord revealed himself and instructed him on the Vedic literature, the Vedic knowledge. In the Veda, by Vyasadeva, Brahma was taught, he gave it to Narada Muni. Narada Muni taught Vyasadeva, although the Lord, as the Vyasadeva personally, is there. So in the beginning, and many times, the Lord takes form as Brahma, as Manu, and various incarnations are there. And all of us are minute parts of the Lord. We're actually your little gods, but we're covered over. Just like the sunshine creates the clouds. And we can't see the Lord. We can't see the sunshine because of the clouds. But also, the sun disperses the clouds and the sun is shining through. So Krishna, he can take away this ignorance, and he comes as the original spiritual master. Lord Nityananda is that Balaram, is the same. Lord Nityananda is the supreme spiritual master, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. So Krishna, in the mood of Chaitanya, in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is showing how to become a devotee. Krishna is telling us, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvang sarapapevyo mokshayashyami masuchaha. Surrender unto me, give up all varieties of religion, and just surrender to Krishna. And Lord Chaitanya is showing how to do that. You don't know? It's kind of strange. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, although a young man, he took sannyas to show the renunciation of this world. He showed that how to take shelter of the holy name. When Prakashananda Saraswati was criticizing, oh, you're a sannyasi and you're a sentimentalist, simply chanting and dancing, Lord Chaitanya quoted a verse that his spiritual master, even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took a spiritual master, said that you're just a fool. Everybody in this material world is fooled by the ignorance, by greed and lust. And he said, just Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam kalu nasteva, nasteva, nasteva gatiranyata. Lord Chaitanya, showing by his example of chanting and dancing. And of course, he took a spiritual master. And this is the beginning of spiritual life. We're taking a spiritual initiation, but that means that we have to hear from the pure devotee. We have to hear from the Mahajanas. And by hearing submissively and in an inquisitive, humble, submissive attitude, hearing is very important. Just like Srila Prabhupada was recognized by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati when everyone was off here and there going to see the different holy places or different deities in different temples. Prabhupada wanted to hear from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati about the absolute truth. So a devotee who's hearing about Krishna, the science of Krishna consciousness, the process of accepting Guru, wanting to learn the truth, and being attentive to the orders of the spiritual master. Krishna was very humble that he and Sudama went out to collect firewood for his spiritual master and did many humble activities. And one may think himself, oh, I've studied so much and I know so much, and okay, the Guru already gave me my instruction. But to stay in that frame of mind, like the Goswamis, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswamis, they're very much in a mood of das, anudas, because this is our identity. We are Krishna, Swarupa Krishna Nitya Das. We're eternal servants of Krishna. And to come back to that level of understanding, giving up the idea that I am powerful, I'm a individual, rugged individualist, and with my own intelligence, my own abilities, I can get free of this entanglement. It's not possible. We're just chewing the chewed. You chew some sugar cane, throw it down, pick it up again, and keep chewing the same chewed sugar cane. So it's like everything in this material world is centered around lust and desire for gratification, sex indulgence, and the whole idea of this is the happiness of material life. But real happiness comes when we awaken that spiritual relationship. We're hearing in the 10th canto. Yesterday we heard a nice class. We've been hearing many classes. But the first 9 cantos are meant to help us understand how significant, how great Krishna is. It's not that he's just a beautiful young boy enjoying with beautiful young girls. And without the proper understanding, sometimes we want to very quickly jump to the spontaneous Raganuga platform, thinking that, I need to have something more than just creation and Lord Brahma creating and demigods and material ingredients and false ego and mind intelligence. But by systematically studying the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, because it's perfect, it said that the pure devotee, he does not make mistakes because he's simply repeating the words of Krishna. And Krishna, he doesn't make mistakes. He's not illusioned or have imperfect senses or cheating propensity. Krishna is perfect in every respect. So Bhagavad Gita is perfect, every shloka. But our interpretation, we might not be understanding it properly, that we can't just go right to the essence without understanding the different categories. And so Krishna starts with you're not the body and the modes of material nature and how we're being conditioned in this material world. And repeated hearing about Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, Dukkha, Doshanu, Darshanam, that this world is a temporary, but we don't get that. We don't care. We just want to somehow continue on. Whatever condition we find ourselves, we think that we're okay. But devotees are very, very lucky. It's not easy to be a devotee, a pure devotee of the Lord, because we all have desires. Akama, sarvo, kama, va, moksha, kama, udaradi, tivarena, bhakti, yogena, yajeta purushang param. We're full of desires. Dhruva Maharaj had so many desires. So many of us come to this Krishna consciousness movement. But as we see that Srila Prabhupada sacrificed for the purpose of giving us this knowledge of Krishna consciousness, and he tolerated so much. We hear many times from the devotees who served and traveled with Srila Prabhupada, how Prabhupada, even though such a rigorous schedule of going from city to city and training devotees, how to do Guru Puja, training devotees, how to do deity worship, how to stay clean, neat, and how to actually live together as Vaishnavas and encourage one another in spiritual life. And Prabhupada would always, appreciate whenever he would see the devotees making advancement. Oh, I see that you're doing, the temple looks very beautiful. The deities are being taken care of nicely, and how everything is growing and prospering. Just like a parent, when he sees the children are growing and taking on responsible duties, and you think, oh, it's a very good thing. So this whole purpose of the Krishna consciousness movement is to awaken people to the urgency of awakening our spiritual original life, our original spiritual consciousness. We're covered with the different bodily identifications, and this covering will be cleansed by the chanting process, chanting the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And following the order of the spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada was very keen that we enthusiastically chant the Guru Vastika prayers, Sangsara Dava Nalalita Loka. Everything is there in the Mangal Arti by praising the spiritual master, worshiping the deities, chanting together. You're carrying out the order of the spiritual master, so that's a credit. Not that we're looking for credits, but the spirit. And there's so many instructions given by the great acharyas. And our greatest acharya for us is Srila Prabhupada, because intimately he understands what condition we're in. And he knows how to explain the subject matter in such a way as to help us make spiritual advancement. But one should not think that now I've already read all these things, let me read some more juicy material, because everything is very nectarine. If you're reading the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it may be very deeply philosophical, but also there are so many wonderful discussions about the gopis with Krishna and the cowherd boys, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan mission, and the excitement of all the devotees who are chanting and dancing in the Rath Yatra. So this is our life. We have to be very careful not to become slack and think that, I'm quite comfortable. I have a nice AC room. Prasadam's what time? Oh yeah, 9 and 3 o'clock, that's right. I have everything taken care of. My Guru is very merciful. It's all his mercy. But we have to, Prabhupada said, do as I am doing. And what was Prabhupada doing? He was preaching Krishna consciousness. He was endeavoring to help spread this mission of Sankirtan. Our book distribution is important. Prasad distribution is important. And we're fortunate. We don't have to go out. Everyone's coming here. So also, our behavior should be exemplary. Not that we act in foolish ways. That Prabhupada was very concerned that the devotees don't in any way minimize the importance of the Krishna consciousness movement, because this is actually insulting to Prabhupada. So we should behave, look like Vaishnavas, behave like Vaishnavas, and try to assist in spreading the Sankirtan mission of Lord Chaitanya. All these avatars which are described, we may not understand how is it the Lord comes as a fish or tortoise or boar, but he's not that. He's the Lord, the Supreme Lord with all potencies. But there's a purpose behind all of that. And by systematically reading, I'm reading about Gajendra right now in the 8th canto, and Gajendra, he got caught up in a beautiful lake trying to enjoy with his she-elephants, and this one angry crocodile grabbed him by the leg and wouldn't let go for many years. They're fighting and fighting. The elephant's losing his energy, but the crocodile's gaining energy. And it says that's not just Gajendra, all of us. The crocodile has us, the crocodile of sense enjoyment has us and is devouring us and forcing us to stay in the cycle of birth and death. And Gajendra, after losing strength and energy and seeing no recourse, no other solution, he thought, I got to surrender to the Lord. And he was praying beautifully. He just figured there must be some creator behind all this magnificent creation. There must be someone. And so some beautiful prayers by Gajendra to Hari, the Lord. And the Lord felt, I immediately have to go and save my devotee. So we have to take shelter of Krishna. And without that shelter, we have no ashraya, no shelter. What is our shelter? Maybe going to the hellish planets. And you know, who knows when the next time in the billions and trillions of upcoming years that we'll have a chance to hear about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna, the spiritual world, and the whole idea of getting out of this imprisonment. I'm a first-class prisoner. You know, I have a little more freedom than the other prisoners. What's the use? Ultimately, we're forced to die in the prison house and forced to take again and again and again the repetition of the Lord is breathing in, everything is wound up in the Lord. Even every day of Brahma is billions of years, and everything becomes dormant in the Lord, and the Lord exhales. Again, all the living beings become again implanted in Mother Nature, not by chance. Everything is calibrated according to one's karma and desires. The Lord again joins with him as two birds sitting on a limb. One is eating the fruit, and the other, the Lord is permitting us or allowing us to do so. But he's giving directions, he's giving instructions. And Lord Brahma is empowered again and again. So this might be very lofty or too much to digest, you know, how great is Krishna. And not only was Brahma bewildered when he came to see the Lord in Dwaraka, Krishna said, which Brahma is that? And so when the doorkeeper said, which Brahma? He said, you know, the father of the four Kumaras, the four-headed Brahma, you know, the guy in charge. And then immediately, just by Krishna's desire, unlimited Brahmas came from unlimited universes with so much more heads and more responsibilities, and Brahma felt like a little tiny creature in the corner. So this is just to give an idea that the Lord is unlimited. When Vasudeva Datta was feeling great compassion for the suffering of all living beings, he was asking Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, please release everyone. Let everyone go back home, back to Godhead. Give me their karma. I will suffer. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was smiling, and he was thinking, do you think that if this one universe is liberated, then everything is finished? He said, take a bag of mustard seeds. How you can count, or the grains, you know, of a bag of grain, how you can count them? He says, unlimited universes, and there's unlimited living entities. But it's still only a fraction of the liberated living beings in the spiritual world. So although it may not be the most exciting subject matter to hearing about creation and all the material ingredients, but still, by hearing it and by coming together and discussing the sufferings of this material world and the glorious activity that goes on in the spiritual world, chanting, dancing, serving the Lord, being friendly with the Lord, just like Prabhupada wanted to again be in the Vrindavan pasturing grounds with all the cowherd boys, playing freely and enjoying with Krishna and Balaram. It's not just some fairy tale. If Brahma Samhita and all the scriptures, Matsya, all the Shastras from thousands and hundreds of thousands, millions of years ago, they're all glorifying Krishna as the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Shelter. And it's not simply by meditation or mental speculation. People think they can try and figure out what is God, what is the creation, no, we need to hear. We need to hear from authorities. And the authorities are listed, the Mahajanas are listed, the Lord's incarnations are listed, and the purpose of their incarnation is there. And that purpose is to bring us home, bring us back to Godhead. And Prabhupada often said throughout his Bhāgavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, that just take up this process of devotional service, serve your spiritual master, follow the rules and regulations, chant the holy name, and whatever difficulty by this chanting and hearing and association of devotees, you get strength to overcome the shortcomings, all the places where we're feeling weak, all the places where we're feeling unenthused. That dirt will be cleansed away in the transparency of the magnificent spirit soul. We also have that brilliance that'll shine forth. That's the Cheto Darpana Marjanam Bhava Mahadevagni Nirvapanam. By chanting Krishna's holy name, the heart is cleansed. But we have to do it humbly, with tolerance, and ready to offer respects to others. And somehow or other, we fall into this material world of birth and death. We're asking the Lord, please pick us up from the suffering in this world and give me shelter at your lotus feet. So the prayers are there. We should recite the Shikshashtakam, Guru Vastakam, also the lotus feet of our spiritual master, the only way which can attain pure devotional service. I bow down to the lotus feet with great awe and reverence. The prayer in Guru Puja, by worshiping the Guru, because the Guru is our via medium, taking us to Krishna. It's not that we can jump all of a sudden, think that we can enter the Rasa Leela or become very super advanced because of our own efforts. And the bona fide Guru is one who is following the Guru Parampara and speaking what Krishna is speaking. He's not speaking something different. Krishna is speaking Bhagavad Gita. He's also speaking Bhagavatam through Vyasadeva and Shukadeva Goswami. Parikshit Maharaj is asking all the great questions. Sometimes we may not have questions, good questions, but questions are there. Parikshit Maharaj is asking beautiful questions. Shukadeva Goswami is answering. Sutta Goswami is answering. So many questions. In the material world, people, what's the market rate? What's the dollar rate? What's the gold commodity? This, that. It's all about making money. Everyone's going this direction on airplanes, subways, cars, and scooters, bikes, rickshaws. This way, that way, this way, that way. Make money, make money. We got to make some money. Because why? We have to enjoy sense gratification. I have to gratify my senses. And but that's not going to bring us the ultimate happiness that we're looking for. Being a little bit more broad-minded, whatever little intelligence we have, we should use it to serve Guru and Krishna, and this way we can try to make some advancement in spiritual life. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki. Sorry, I caught a cold in Ujjain somehow. It was raining every day. And they worked us hard, right, Shruta? In Ujjain, we had so many festivals going on. But this is good. Singing, dancing together, chanting, this is very important. And appreciating with gratitude that Srila Prabhupada has given us a beautiful family to be part of. Any questions? Yes?
Kind of a question. We often, when we talk about the universe, we say it's 1/4 of the creation and 3/4 is in the spiritual world. And we talk about this place as a prison house. Even here in the prison houses, not even 1% of people will be in prison. We all come from the spiritual world. We're originally Krishna conscious. 25% of living entities are in the material world. It seems like a very high percentage. How
Should we complain to Krishna or what? So Shruta is saying that from the 3/4 of liberated spiritual living beings, 1/4, 25% are criminals and in the material world trying to enjoy separately. Because of this independence, minute independence, we have that spirit of enjoyment. It's difficult to understand how it is that when someone has everything that he could want, sometimes we really question, why would that person do that? He has the perfect situation, he's got all the money and all the respect and power, but still foolishly, out of curiosity, killed the cat. They said, just, what if I was the supreme enjoyer? It's just that, I guess it's a very fine-tuned deviation from being ultimately fully, purely surrendered, serving, loving Krishna, fully satisfied, is a certain kind of curiosity that may be there. Of course, that's a very in-depth and the most difficult question. Why did we fall from the spiritual world? How we could fall? Nothing falls from Vaikuntha. But that's why that when the the yogi who merges into Brahma Jyoti, it says that he falls back again down to the material, because Brahma Jyoti is also a spiritual world. And we can't just go into a whole debate whether one falls or does not fall, but somehow or other, because we've misused our independence, Krishna is very liberal. He's not angry, not necessarily at us in the sense that, but he can get angry at demons or those who are against devotees or those who are, like Hiranyakashipu was acting with Prahlad and whatnot. So yes, our prison houses in America are full. We have more prisoners than any other country. You may think, wow, it's the best country or the most opulent country. Prabhupada often say, oh, America is seen as the leader in, financial stability, and they have so many criminals. So I guess it's our nature. We have that cheating propensity. But we should rectify ourselves, clean our hearts, and go back home. Why do you have to ask a quite hard question? Anyone have any other questions? So how can we understand that Krishna is everywhere and not create any enmity toward one another, that we're all related, Krishna is the father of everyone, and we're all brothers and sisters, and that's the disease, the covering of ignorance, that when the bodily concept, that's when the mind, intelligence, and false ego kick in, because everyone is basically selfish in this material world, and they're looking out for number one, who's themselves. But Lord Chaitanya's prayer of Trinada Pisunichana said, in order to chant the holy name of the Lord, one has to be ready to offer all respects to others. And this way we're not slaughtering the poor animals because we think that, well, human beings okay, but animals, they have no soul, or they're not important, or there's so many creatures that may be neglected or abused or killed because of our bodily concept of life. So we have to develop that quality of seeing everyone as part of the Lord. Sometimes it's difficult, getting free of anger or getting free of, and maybe you don't want to, see somebody who's really bothering you. You think, how can I, be humble and treat that person like that? But keeping the association of devotees, we're like an iron rod. If you keep the iron rod in the fire, it becomes red hot. It becomes just like fire. So by the chanting of the name of the Lord and by good association and taking lots of prasad, our fiery spiritual nature will awaken. I think there's a bell, right? Okay. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Rectify the word for the day, huh?
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.